Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today we are doing another update to the Morphtronic deck, along with doing more combos. So I'm just going to do a really quick deck profile on this. It hasn't changed up too much, but I have added a little bit of stuff since we have Crystron Halqifibrax and Link Cross now. So I added like the Herald of the Arclight, which just helps you to either put another Omni Negate on the board if you can't go into Quasar Dragon, or else you can just sort of use this as a way to extend to go in from a 4 into a 5 Synchro and stuff like that. So I'll just go ahead and do a really rapid deck profile. And besides that, then we will just go straight on into some hand test combos. So obviously we're starting out with the 3 copies of Smart Fawn. Always got to be playing 3 Smart Fawn and 3 Cell Fawn. With both of these cards, you roll the dice. That's why we have dice here. And then, so you roll one 6-sided die, and then depending on what you roll, with Cell Fawn, you special summon a Morphtronic monster, and with your Smart Fawn, you add the Morphtronic card to your hand. So monster, spell, or trap, but we don't run any of the traps in the deck. Morphtronic Vacuum, when in defense, sucks up your opponent's monster. Also, both of these cards are targets for your machine duplication. And now one of the biggest changes that I've made to the deck, which I really like, is that I made Morphtronic Remoten one of the machine duplication targets. So that's really, really nice that it's a machine monster below 500 attack, and so it works that way. Also, both its attack and defense effects work, and if you guys remember from my latest deck profile, a combo which a lot of people have been really liking is the Shiranuri Sword Saga. So shoutouts to Dark Arm Duelist, who actually gave me a shout out on his channel for this deck profile and for just including Shiranuri Sword Saga. So if you can put the Remoten into defense mode, you can essentially use both its attack and defense effects. So yeah, and if you guys are interested, please make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, because I will be doing not only this Morphtronic deck profile, which focuses on getting out Appalousa Bow of the Goddess and Shooting Quasar Dragon and like Naturia Beast. I'm also going to be doing a deck profile pretty soon with like Power Tool Dragon, so focusing on like pure Morphtronics going into Power Tool Dragon. So for our next card, we have 3 Morphtronic Sculpin. It can special. This is the next card that is comboed well with Shiranuri Sword Saga, which is why I put these two next to each other, because when this card's in attack mode, you can special summon a level 4 from your hand, going into an easy Link 2 play or into a 7 Synchro, which is really nice. And besides that, when it's in defense, it's treated as a level 4 monster, even if you summon this out with Halqifibrax, because it's not an activated effect, it's a continuous effect. So then going on, we were playing 3 copies of Boomboxin. These are just generic level 4s. Both of these are your level 4 Earth monsters, so that's why we're playing them in the deck for Naturia Beast. But also, since we are playing 3 copies of Remoten along with 3 copies of Cell Fawn, it is possible with 2 Cell Fawn and 1 Remoten to go into Naturia Beast as well. So again, adding that 3rd Remoten I think was a really good decision for the deck. So 3 Boomboxin, 3 Staplin, 1 Slingin actually helps you to destroy your own field spell in order to go into more plays. 3 copies of the Machine Duplication, 3 Junk Box, and 3 Repair Unit for your extenders. And then the next card that I bumped up to change in the deck is 3 copies of Desynchro. This was an addition to the deck that Dark Arm Duelist made, which I'm really picking up because I really, really liked it. I was playing this at 2, but he picked it up to 3, and that really helps you to see this every single time. And as long as you have TG Hyper Librarian on the board, along with going on into your Formula Synchron, and then you use Desynchro on the Formula, you're going to be able to draw 2 cards off of that initial summon, Desynchro it back, get both back your Cell Fawn and your Smart Fawn to the field, and then you can just redo all of that stuff. Then we're going on into 2 copies of Morphtronic Accelerator. I sometimes just use this to revamp my hand. If I'm going first, you can revamp your hand, blow up your field spell. Unfortunately, one thing you guys do need to know is that the field spell, the floating effect, is a when effect, so it will miss timing if you're using Accelerator, because on resolution you draw an extra card. So just keep that in mind. Morphtronic map is really just best if you're using it with like your Sling In, or if your opponent's going to blow it up or something like that. Really, it's just in here because it's another card that you can add to your hand from searching with your smartphone. And then you have the Accelerator, which is just going to help you revamp your hand. Or if you're going second, your Vacuumin and your Accelerator are like your best friends, which are going to let you help you to blow up your opponent's board, do a little spot removal. So going on, we're playing one Upstart Goblin for consistency, one 1-for-1, a Different Dimension Reincarnation, and a Monster Reborn. I'm also going to try to I'm going to include a combo in this video with Monster Reborn. The reason why it's so good in here is because if you're able to get your full combo done, but you draw into your Monster Reborn, you want to try to leave that in your hand until you get your Quasar Dragon on the field. And then as long as you have enough extension, you can go ahead and use Monster Reborn, bring back your TEG Hyper Librarian. So then your board will basically end with Quasar, and then you have TEG Hyper Librarian on the board. And then if you can go into another Formula Synchron, you'll again be able to draw 2 cards. And then that's also going to allow you to, you can then, on your opponent's turn, say they blow up your stuff, they get rid of your Quasar Dragon or something, you can then take these 2 as an emergency effort to go into Black Rose Dragon, because Formula Synchron can Synchro Summon on your opponent's turn. So, for the extra deck, I've already kind of explained some of this stuff, but our main goal is Shooting Quasar Dragon. That's just sort of, it's not obviously the best Synchro in the world, but this is like a Shooting Quasar focused deck. So, then the 1 Black Rose Dragon. Then for our level 5 monsters, we have Naturia Beast, Shiranori Sword Saga, and TG Hyper Librarian. These cards really don't need any more explanation. Then we're playing 2 copies of Formula Synchron. I've really just found playing 2 keeps me comfortable because you can use it to go into so many plays, so it's really nice. Helps you to, I mean, you draw a card and it helps you to Synchro on your opponent's turn, so you can really, like I said, emergency situation, you can take these 2, go into Black Rose Dragon, or and I would just like to keep the Black Rose Dragon in the deck because it's just so versatile with your Sculpin and a level 4 to just really quickly go into that. 1 copy of Herald of the Arclight, 1 Stardust Dragon, because if we just have to go into a simple level 8 Synchro play, it's an option there. And then for our last Synchro, we have 1 Trishula. Now, the cards that I did end up taking out, I did take out the Shooting Star Dragon. If you guys can find a space in here, it is really nice because you have this and this in here, that along with Formula Synchron, that it does work to have this in here. I just couldn't really find any space. Trishula would probably be my next choice to take out, but it is still pretty easy to go into Trishula with this deck. So, yeah, these are 2 cards that I kind of flip-flop between, and I didn't really have room for the Martial Metal Marcher, and there's really not too many instances where that would come up. You would basically have to have this on the field along with, or you would get this on the field with Formula Synchron or with your smartphone. But then for our links, we were playing 1 Link Karibo, 1 Link Cross, 1 copy of Appalousa, 1 Cerberus, and 1 Halqifibrax. So, sorry, that has already been like an 8-minute deck profile. I seriously just can't stop talking about this deck enough because I just love it so much. So I'm going to get this deck shuffled here, and we will get to the combos. Okay, guys, so for the main combo, I want to go over why I am playing, like, just sort of easy ways to go into the Link Cross and the Crystron Halqifibrax. For this first combo, I'm not really sure how many combos I'll be covering here, but the main thing is to for sure have a Sculpin and a Smartphone in hand along with any of the level 4s. So just for this instance, I'm going to pull out the Boomboxin, and then it can be really any of the other cards in the deck. So we'll just pull out 2 random cards for the rest of our 5-hand draw. We're just not going to look at them, and we'll focus on how the rest of our turn should go. So, starting out, we will summon out the Sculpin, use Sculpin's effect to special out the Boomboxin from hand, and then we just send these 2 to easily go into our Crystron Halqifibrax, since we have a tuner and a non-tuner monster. Honestly, like, it just feels like Halqifibrax was tailor-made for Morphtronics, because with his effect, now we're able to summon out a Sculpin from the main deck. And then Sculpin, while in defense, is going to become a level 4 monster. Even though Halqifibrax negates the activated effects of its monsters that it summons, it does not negate the continuous effects. So from here, we will go ahead and banish this Sculpin, and special summon out the Smart Fawn. We were going to end up having another Sculpin in the graveyard anyways, so that's totally fine. And then this Sculpin is sitting here in case we draw into our different dimension reincarnation. So with that, I'm just going to flip this here. So we actually have our third Sculpin in hand along with a machine duplication. You always want to see a machine duplication opening hand. So this is actually how we would have run the turn anyways. We'll then send the Halqifibrax for the Link Cross, and then special summon out our 2 tokens. We'll then take the 1 level 1 token and our level 4 Sculpin, and then that will summon out our TG Hyper Librarian. We'll then activate our Smart Fawn's effect and roll, and we'll pick up a 5 right there. Definitely good with picking up a 5. So we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, adding one of these cards to our hand, and I think the obvious choice is to pick up the Selfon. The only downside is that we've already used up our normal summon, but we do have a really simple way that we can get the Selfon onto the field, so hopefully we will find that right now. We'll take the other level 1 token and the level 1 Smart Fawn and go into our Formula Synchron. The only downside to this is that if we want to send Formula Synchron back with Desynchro, we can't summon back this because the token is not technically a monster in the graveyard, so we just got to keep that in mind. But with Chainlink 1 and Chainlink 2, we can go ahead and draw 2 cards. And we were not fortunate enough to pick up a Morphtronic repair unit, which would have been what I would have wanted. But that's totally fine. We can still go ahead and activate our Monster Reborn, which is going to bring back our Smart Fawn, and we can use our Smart Fawn's effect again, and we'll see if we get lucky this time. So we'll pick up on a 4, and there's our Morphtronic repair unit, and now we are totally back in action. So this is a moment where you could pick up the repair unit or you could pick up the Smart Fawn. But repair unit is exactly what we need right now, so that's what we're going to be taking. So we will use Morphtronic repair unit, sending our Selfon to the grave, and then we'll just special summon back the Selfon with the effective repair unit. So we'll then use Selfon's effect and pick up on a 5. Okay, these are really solid rolls that we're getting, so we'll pick up on that, and it's always nice to be picking up on a Remoten. Definitely good to get that special summoned onto the field, because now what we can do is we are going to, we'll take the Smart Fawn, actually yeah, we're going to take the Selfon here, and, oh no, we got to keep Selfon on the field for, but we got to open up some zones. So we're going to take the Smart Fawn, and we will link off Smart Fawn for our Link Karibo, just to make sure that that's going to end up in the graveyard, so it will be live for when we need him later. We will then banish the Smart Fawn with our Remoten's effect, and then that will pick up another Smart Fawn from our deck. With Remoten, you can pick up any Morphtronic monster, even if it's the same monster, it doesn't matter. So with this, we will then take these 4 cards right here, and if you haven't figured it out already, we're going into Appalousa Bow of the Goddess, because that's just a really strong play for what we're going for here. It's really nice because we already have 4 monster negates on board, and we're not even close to being done yet. So with this, we're going to activate our machine duplication, summoning out our next copies of Selfon. So we'll pick up 1 copy and a second copy right there. That will then, with this, I now have to think a little bit what we want to do. I think we will actually summon out the Smart Fawn by banishing something from the graveyard. Really doesn't matter. I think we'll just banish the Remoten for now. We'll use Smart Fawn's effect. It's always nice to use Smart Fawn before using your Selfon's effect, because you just can add extra stuff to your hand instead of... I think we're just going to pick up the Smart Fawn. It would be really nice to get this repair unit, but we might just need a little bit of extra extension to go into our other synchro plays, so I think we're just going to take the Smart Fawn just in case. We can always pick up that repair unit at another time. So with this, we're going to go ahead and take the Selfon, whose effect we've already used, and the Smart Fawn, whose effect we've used, and that's going to allow us to go into a Formula Synchron just to open up another zone. That's going to allow us to draw 2 more cards, and so that is the main reason why I like playing the 2 copies of Formula Synchron in the extra deck. It's really beneficial. We'll then use this Self-On's effect here and roll for him. Now we got a 2. Yeah, we just picked up those 2 cards right there. I figured that with drawing 2 monsters that would probably not work in our favor. With this, I think we're just going to use this Self-On's effect right away. And we'll pick up on a 4 roll, and again, we got nothing there. So it really sucks when you fizzle like that, but it does end up happening. What we're going to do now is we'll summon out this Smart Fawn by banishing the Self-On, and we'll use Smart Fawn's effect and roll for, it was a 4 there. I guess I can re-roll since that was off camera. All right, okay, it was a 4 again. So we're going to add a card into our hand, and we have to add one of these cards. I guess we'll just add, we already have a staple, and so we'll just add the vacuum in. So that's unfortunate that it's kind of looking like our turn is getting somewhat to a close. But we do have actually more stuff than you would think from here. So we can take these 2 Self-Ons along with our Formula Synchron, because he is a tuner synchro, and that's going to allow us to go into that Herald of the Arclight, which was the newest addition to the deck. We can just leave this on the field, and that's going to be an Omni Negate, or, you know, we can try to extend and keep going into Quasar. With that, since we just Synchro Summoned, we can draw another card. This would be really nice since we just drew our Machine Duplication. If we could somehow get Vacuuming onto the field, that's just a nice way to go into more like Link and Synchro plays. But with this, I think we're just going to go for the big guns and try to get Quasar out yet. So we're going to take these 2 here, and we're going to go into that Shiranuri Sword Saga, which is going to allow us to draw 1 more card from the deck. And so from here, that's going to show us how lucky we are. This is a gamble deck, so we're going to pick up 1, and we got a Desynchro, so that's actually not too bad. We'll just end up using the Desynchro, put the Shiranuri Sword Saga back into the deck, and we'll get these 2 guys back. So Desynchro is just, if you can use it on Formula Synchron, it is an automatic +1, or here it's neutral. So we will roll, we got a 5 there for our Smart Fawn's effect. And with that, we pick up a repair unit, which is exactly what we wanted. So that's definitely good. So we will then use this repair unit, send the vacuum to, yeah, I think we're going to send the vacuum to the graveyard. It's nice to just get him to the grave. Actually, no, we will leave him there. That way he will be a backup for our next turn. We'll just actually end up sending the sling into the graveyard. It really does not matter that much. Just to pick up the Self-On from grave, and we'll use Self-On's effect, and there we end up getting a 5. So we'll summon out one of these monsters we reveal, and we'll reveal a Boomboxin. So with this, we now have a decision. Do we want to go ahead and use Boomboxin and Smart Fawn and go into our, trying to think, Naturia Beast? Or we can just take these to go into a Sword Saga, or we can take these 2 to go into a Formula Synchron. I think what we want to do is, just for now, I want to go into that Formula Synchron. That way we can potentially draw into a Desynchro again, and we'll see what happens there. So, do we not, I must have accidentally, did I... Oh yeah, I totally forgot that we actually used both Formula Synchrons for this. Yeah, that's my bad. We had to extend to go into the Herald of the Arclight, so instead of, since we can't go into Formula Synchron, we will actually just take these 2 here to go into that Naturia Beast, which at this point, really, since we have 1 Omni Negate here with the Herald of the Arclight, getting this out on the field is basically just as good as getting out Quasar. So now we don't have really too much to really worry about. We do still get to draw 1 card off TG Hyper Librarian, which is going to be an Upstart Goblin. We'll just activate that right away to draw 1 more card, and we got another copy of Desynchro. Why not? We'll just use Desynchro again, send back this Naturia Beast, and we'll pick back up the Boomboxin and the Smart Fawn. Activate Smart Fawn's effect 1 more time, which we're going to pick up a 5 roll, which will allow us to pick up, we will get either the Morphtronic map or the Accelerator. For the time, Accelerator is just going to be a better option if there's something on our opponent's board next turn to blow up, and right now the way our deck is looking, our deck is getting pretty thin. We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cards so far. So yeah, this is I've had turns where I've gotten down to like, I believe 10 or so cards on my first turn. So yeah, we'll take these two, and once again we're going to synchro into that Naturia Beast. Activate Naturia Beast effect, and, or sorry, not, geez, Naturia Beast, I'm getting really mixed up. TG Hyper Librarian is going to allow us to draw a card, my bad. I knew that, that we were getting something into our hand. From here, we can just go ahead and take these two cards right here, and we'll take them and summon out our Nightmare Cerberus. That's if that's a route that we want to go with, that's totally good. You know, that's fine, because we still have other synchro options to go into on our next turns. But while Cerberus is on the field, since these cards are co-linked, he's going to be giving protection from destruction by card effect to all co-linked monsters. So with that, we can end on a board with Naturia Beast, Herald of the Arclight, and Appalousa Bow of the Goddess, along with Cerberus giving some protection. Or if we don't want to do that, we do have one last play, which I will just show as an option. We can keep the Hyper Librarian on the board, along with Sulfon, use our Morphtronic Accelerator, and send back this Vacuumin, because we don't want Vacuumin in the hand. We basically, you know, we want Vacuumin in the deck, because then we can use our machine duplication next turn with the Vacuumin, but we will destroy our own Sulfon with Accelerator and then draw one card, and that's going to be a Morphtronic Remoten. So that's just sort of a gamble that you guys can take if that was an option that you would want to go with, but you can just go with the safer route and pick up on the Cerberus, because otherwise in the deck we would still have a few options of stuff that we would want to draw into, which would help us to extend. So it's not a horrible play if that's what you would want to go with. We just didn't get the optimal draw right there. So I think we'll try to squeeze in one more combo for this video yet. Alright guys, so going on into our final combo, I want to show off why I keep the Monster Reborn in the deck. Obviously, it's really not that big of a secret, like why you would keep Monster Reborn in the deck, but I really like having it in here for like TG Hyper Librarian and instances like that. So I'm going to kind of be going through another 5-card combo here, which is like, these are all 3 ofs in the deck right down here, and then we have the 1 Monster Reborn. So I'm just going to keep the Monster Reborn in the hand. Not sure if we're going to use this for like the intended purpose of the combo, but hopefully we will. And then the rest of the cards are just going to be random, so I'll just give it a quick shuffle there. And then we're going to start off. So, you know, and I also just sort of want to show off like the power of machine duplication. And then if you have like one good extender in the hand as well. So we'll pick up our Sulfon right there and activate machine duplication in order to summon off the other 2 copies from the deck. Yeah, and obviously this combo could have been done with like Junk Box instead of Repair Unit, which is not searchable, but yeah, like overall I think that this is in general what you always want to be seeing is stuff like this. If you have a machine duplication and a Smartphone in hand opening turn, you're definitely setting yourself up very well. So we will just go ahead and activate Sulfon's effect number 1 for a 5 right there, revealing 5 cards from the hand, and we will probably just go ahead and pick up this Smartphone. Again, the only downside from summoning off Smartphone from Sulfon's effect is that he can't be brought back from the graveyard by other means, especially if you're trying to use like desynchro for that. So, but that's totally fine. We'll then go ahead and activate this Sulfon's effect, getting another 5, and we always want to try to see a Remoten, which is always good too. So with a Remoten, we'll be able to add this Sulfon anyways, so it's fine to just sort of slap that on the field, and then just gives us another monster to extend. It's always still nice to summon out the Sulfon the traditional way. So we'll go ahead and we'll take these 2 cards right here, and we'll link them away for our Crystron Halqifibrax. If we have it in this deck, we might as well just go into it. I don't want to like focus on the Halqifibrax combo for the deck, but hey, it's in here, so we're going to use it. So we'll then banish the Sulfon off with the Remoten, and obviously I summoned off the Sculpin from the Halqifibrax there. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. But with the Remoten, we will pick up our third copy already of our Smartphone. The other copy is already in our hand. So our hand is looking pretty stacked right now. That's how we want to see it. Now, the only thing is that with one of these Smartphones, we want to add another monster to discard for this repair unit. So we still have, we have one more Self-On effect. So with that, we will activate this Self-On, and we will get a 4 off of that. And we will special summon off this Vacuumin. So had our opponent gone first, we could summon off the Vacuum and suck up one of their monsters. But we're just sort of going with this as a going first turn. So from here, I'm thinking that we're going to use Remoten and the Vacuumin and then one of these Self-Ons. And we're just going to turn those guys into a Formula Synchron, or sorry, not Formula Synchron, a TG Hyper Librarian. And with that, then we will activate the Halqifibrax not activate his effect. We will summon out the Link Cross, and then with that, we will take our 2 tokens and summon those to the field. With that, we can then take the Sculpin and one of the tokens from Link Cross, and we can synchro into our next card, which is going to be the Shiranori Sword Saga. With this, we can technically use Sword Saga's effect to put Self-On in defense, and then I reuse his effect so rarely while in defense, but once per turn, roll a 6-sided die, look at the top of your deck, equal to the roll, and then return them in the same order. It's really not that good, because the cards all have to go back in the same order, but it does kind of, I guess I got to roll first. We got a 1, so now we know that there is a Morphtronic repair unit sitting at the top of our deck, which honestly isn't horrible. It's nice to know if there's other shenanigans and stuff. Oh, and also, sorry, with the Sword Saga, we would have drawn a card anyways. So actually that number 1 roll, we would have revealed a Morphtronic map. So now we know that we have a map on the top of our deck. Or had we been a little bit more proactive and set up our board with Sculpin or the Remoten on the board, then we would be able to activate either of their defense effects. But with that, we can then special summon out this Smartphone by banishing. We'll just banish this Sculpin right there. Or actually, we did not properly summon the Smartphone, so it's actually the smarter option to banish him. We'll use this Smartphone's effect, and we'll roll a 3 right there. And with that, we want to try to get a monster, so I think we're just going to pick up this Vacuumin. We want a monster in our hand, that way we can use it for the repair unit. So with this, we will be able to take these 2. Yeah, if we're going on into Formula Synchron, I think we still want to go ahead and use these 2. It'd be nice to, we want to get rid of that somehow. But actually, instead of that, I think that we will keep these guys where they're at, and we're actually going to take, or no, we can't use this for, sorry, we can't use that for link material. We're just going to take these 2, go into our Formula Synchron, just to get that token out of the way. Otherwise, he's going to be kind of cumbersome to our field. And with that, we'll be able to draw 2 cards. So here we have a Morphtronic map and a different dimension reincarnation. And we already have a Self-On set up in our banished zone for the different dimension reincarnation, which is really good. Already our hand, we're seeing like a lot of really great extenders. I think that we're just going to take these guys right here. And with that, since none of these are really going to be good desynchro targets, we're just going to go ahead and send them, and we're going to get Quasar onto the board as quickly as we can this time. Sometimes I end up finishing my turn with that, but I think this time we're just going to go ahead and go into Quasar right away. And now this is why we wanted to have the Monster Reborn in our opening hand, in order to pick up that TG Hyper Librarian. And now anytime we synchro, we're going to be able to keep drawing cards off of that. And hopefully we can end with our second copy of Formula Synchron on the board. That way we have like an emergency Black Rose Dragon that we can synchro into. Or if you guys want to even run like F.A. Dawn Dragster in the extra deck, that is another good option. I just like having the Black Rose Dragon, because if you open going second and you have the Black Rose Dragon and you have the Sculpin and a level 4 monster, you can just go into Black Rose Dragon, blow up the field, and that's done. And F.A. Dawn Dragster can't really do anything equal to that if you're going second. So anyways, with this, we'll take this Smartphone, and we will banish this smart fawn. So now we have one. This is a properly summoned smart fawn, which if we draw into our desynchro, that's going to allow us to get it back. So we will use this smart fawn's effect, and we'll pick up a roll of 3, and we will just pick up this other repair unit. Picking up a repair unit is still usually better than getting an accelerator. Accelerator is not really going to help us, especially for the purposes of this combo video. So with that, I think we are going to activate the, we're going to take these two here, and we will synchro into our second copy of Formula Synchron, wherever he's at. There he is. So we'll go ahead and pick him up, and with that we get to draw 2 cards yet. So draw 1 and 2. Still no desynchro, but we still have maybe a few other options to go here. We will go ahead and activate our Morphtronic repair unit, and with that we will send our Remoten to the grave, and we'll just bring back the Remoten. And this is going to be kind of an odd thing to be doing, but I think with this we will, or actually no, we already have a Remoten set up in the graveyard, so we're just going to bring back this Selphon. My bad, that would have, yeah, this is a much better play. We'll still pick up the Selphon, reveal a 1, we don't get anything there, but that's not that big of a deal. We don't really care too much about that. We are just going to, oh, and it's also important to note that technically I believe it's important to know that we're actually getting this Selphon, which was not used for the synchro of Formula Synchron, because if this comes in and out, then that doesn't count if you go for desynchro. So, yeah, I think that's just an important thing that I should note there. But we are going to use this other repair unit, sending the, we'll send the Vacuum in to the graveyard, and we will pick up, we already have a Formula Synchron in the graveyard, so we will just pick up this, this copy that's in the graveyard, and we will banish 1 more card. We'll banish this Sculpin right here, and then with that we can add another level 3. So we're really just trying to thin the deck at this point. Pick up another level 3 monster, and we want to kind of keep the level 1s. As for level 1s, we only have Vacuumins in the deck now, so totally fine to leave those in there. But now we can take these 2 here and go into our Herald of the Arclight. Yeah, so I'm going to put Herald of the Arclight right in that spot. And so that means that we now have 2 different Omni Negates, and we get to draw 1 card off of summoning that. Now we have a Morphronic Accelerator. I think from here, what I'm going to do is we will probably take, we want to try to get yet into our Appalousa, so that's going to be sort of our next concern. So I think just to open up some zones, we will, we'll activate our Morphtronic repair unit again, discarding this Sculpin into the graveyard, and we'll just try to pick up something that's going to get us a little bit more field advantage. So I think that we're going to summon up the Selphon. So with the Morphtronic repair unit, I was thinking of Selphon, but I think we're actually going to pick up the Smartphon again, just to try to increase our hand advantage a little bit more if possible. So that is going to allow us to get a roll of 4, and we will pick up this Stapling, which is hopefully going to be beneficial to us. Really just trying to thin the deck that way in case we can go into any other plays. We're going to check out the extra deck one more time. We have a Naturia Beast in the extra deck. Besides that, we don't have too many other plays that I'm really seeing on the board. If we still had like our Shiranori Sword Saga, we could take these 2, obviously. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, that, along with, I think TG Hyper Librarian has finally fulfilled all of its uses. And just to try to push our turn a little bit further, I'm going to take out the Herald of the Arclight as well. And we're going to go into Appalousa. So now we only have 1 Omni Negate, but still 1 Omni Negate is good enough, along with all of these monster negates. And then we can still try to push to go into Naturia Beast if possible. So we'll activate our Morphtronic map and discard off our Stapling. Actually, we'll discard the Remoten from there, and with the accelerator, which is going to destroy the Morphtronic map, our field spell. And then with that, we are going to be able to draw a card off of the accelerator. Now we just drew into a junk box. So with this, we can, I believe we might have everything we need, but I think we can actually go into another copy of Selfon on the board, and that will help us to extend yet a little bit more. So we'll actually pick up this Selfon, activate his effect, which is going to be a roll of 4, and that's exactly what we wanted. We just needed a one of the Earth monsters. He might have even been like one of the last ones in the deck. And we might have another copy of Boomboxing in there somewhere. But with this, we'll then activate this junk box in order to bring back our Smartphone. With that, we'll take these 2 cards and we will synchro into our Naturia Beast. And finally, we will end our turn by turning Selfon into a Link Karibo. So now we have our Staplin in hand. We have basically infinite spell negates. Well, really not infinite. Our deck is a little bit slim, but then we have 1 Omni negate and a bunch of monster negates here. Guys, I think that's going to do it for everything here. That is going to be the combo video for today. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and be sure to check out my 2 most recent videos on unboxing Toon Chaos, as well as yesterday I uploaded a video of me opening up the new Battles of Legend Armageddon where I pulled 10,000 Dragon. So please go ahead and check out those videos, and we'll catch you next time.